is going on? Alexander Thomas here. Welcome back to Game One Time 123. We are back here with episode 2 of the Detective's First Case. I'm going to keep my webcam off for this thing, unfortunately, because it's still having some problems. But let's go and get into it. We're getting back into the adventure. Apparently called Aft Circles Beneath the Great Thing, but that's not where we're going this one. Now in the last episode we did tie Jordan up. His caught of anger. He even looks angry. Actually, he looks like he's been taken by a spider. But let's go ahead and see what do we do here. In our previous episode, we had to talk to him. We're going to try to talk to him. So we're going to have to ask Joran why he thinks it's really, because he doesn't really, I'm not sure he really knows. But we gotta go for all things. We're a detective after all, so this is Alexander is the detective. Or we probably should ask him why he didn't. He probably doesn't know. What does he do? Go back to our thing here. I'm trying to knock him out like 5 times, I think. Try and ask him again. Now, trying to ask him calmly because I don't know if that actually works. He tries to knock. It fell.
Not for a few times against the stone. I shouldn't be here, he replied. Horse. The brute flinches at the question, but Alexander's steady tone holds, and after a long, shuddering breath, nods, rain streaking his dirt-smeared face as he answered. I didn't survive, quietly, eyes unfocused. Not really. I got away when the transit circle blew. Part of me screaming in that swear. The others went cleanly, all the way through, just ash left behind. But I was that Faye called a partial success, and tried to fix with more sigil until I started to leaps were walked. He gives a hollow, bitter laugh that dies quickly. I didn't living into it, something they could do. One who couldn't quite die, no matter how much the other side pulls.
So it's catching up. Oh, sorry. Part of it before. Do we know what happened? Up on we got. Oh, we had to go back.
Fingers clench the rope at Alexander's question, and he looks away toward. He dragged into cages of glass light. Others unraveled into thread woven into their machines. He swallows, but not at whatever's there is using them. Even stand still, Joyce, light, eyes dark fury and pity as she finally mapping every full detail of Euro's record.
Okay, we're gonna replay that.
Jorin's fingers clench against the rope at Alexander's question, and he looks away toward the ring of ash. Some I saw through the breach, he murmurs, dragged into cages of glass light, others unraveled into threads they wove into their machines. The rest, he swallows, gone, but not at peace. Whatever's there is using them. Raven stands very still beside you, jaw tight, eyes dark with a mix of fury and pity, as she silently traces patterns in the air, mapping every dreadful detail for the Bureau's records.
Sorry, they're not ready to hear the truth. Last thing to say, squirrels. Good grief. Talk about dark. So, did he see anything? It's not that anything or anyone that's not normal. Number the wrong question to ask. We all think that way. I guess he's not right anymore.
Jorin's eyes lose focus, as if he's looking past the courtyard and back into the breach. Everything there is not normal, he says. But there was one thing that noticed me. A lattice of wings and eyes around a burning crown, watching through the cages like it was choosing which of us to keep. And behind it, robed figures on our side, faces, masked in silver ash, taking notes as if this were all just an experiment. Raven's quill sigil flickers to life at her fingertips, recording every word as the rain drums harder on the stone.
So like demons that were using them, I guess. I don't know that that's the right terminology either. Okay.
Joran gives a broken, humorless smile at Alexander's question. Demons, gods, scholars, call them what you like, he murmurs. They weren't just killing people, they were using them, testing how much a soul can stretch before it snaps. And those masked ones on our side? They were taking notes for their masters. Raven folds her arms, eyes narrowed.
Oh, gosh.
So we're not just chasing smugglers, she mutters. We're chasing collaborators. She glances to Alexander. We'll need names, symbols, anything you remember about those ash-masked scholars. Nearby, Raven keeps subtly shifting her stance, ready to throw a ward if Joran's tethered to the rift twitches again.
What? So we're going to have him describe it, but I think it's a he. So. So we're gonna let Jordan describe this. Any symbols he might. That's not symbols, though. It's I don't think that's how symbols is spelled. Soul and Raven writes them down. Right, not right. I go grammatically here.
Joran closes his eyes, dragging shaky breaths as he starts to speak. A broken circle made of 3 jagged arcs, a vertical line speared through its center, and above it, a tiny crown of 3 points with an eye in the middle. Beside that, he describes a second mark. 6 overlapping hexagons forming a star, each corner tipped with a crescent hook. Raven, face set in grim concentration, carefully sketches each sigil into a notebook, adding crisp annotations while the rain beads on the ink and the implications sink like lead between you all.
Ooh, okay. Okay. So what do we do with that? We're trying to confirm this. I guess we're going to call them the quotes because I don't really know what the actual terminology. Man, they were killing the Vanished. Oof. This has gone to a dark story. They're killing the Vanished. So I did not spell Vanished right.
Joran shakes his head weakly at Alexander's question. Eyes haunted. Not just killing, he whispers. Some they shredded, yes, but most they kept, stretched into light, wired into those machines like living spell components. Dying over and over without ever being allowed to finish, whatever they are, they're turning the Vanished into tools, not corpses. Raven's jaw tightens as she underlines a phrase in her notes, repeated exploitation of victims, then looks to you, voice low and hard. That means the Bureau can't write this off as simple casualties, she says. We're dealing with an ongoing crime scene on the other side of the breach. Before Joran can answer further, the courtyard lights flicker and twist. From the hanging lines of rift energy, still clinging to his skin, something extrudes, a tall skeletal figure of crackling wires and ghost light, a wired eidolon. Its many-jointed limbs jerking as it turns a head of dangling cables toward you and lets out a sound like a chorus of stolen voices hissing through broken crystal.
So we got. It's only got 54 health. I'm gonna do wired because I don't clue what that. I don't know how. Yeah, I don't even include how pronounce the second word. It's a level 1 though, so it's a much easier creature, supposedly. Make sure I have that right. He doesn't want to be part of this. How did he get away with it? Which is probably a good thing he did, but
Alexander lunges in with the missile, while Raven fans 10 glittering daggers to wide attack to the arm crackling across the courtyard. A jag of stolen soullight lashing into Raven's chest and hurling her fire strikes her ear. The air
What did she say? What other things should she have? I mean, she doesn't have any. She. Keep. I haven't even heard of this creature. It looks very creepy. Looks kind of like a robot, to be honest.
Alexander Darton, under the rain-snarled cables, bra moose through the wide Elon's torso. As Raven tends down to his strike, to join notes with crackling bursts of light. Reeling but not undone, spasms and lashes out in a vengeful burst. A fan of arcing flamming into Raven's chest and shoulder, hurling her back over the slick stones stacking through her nerves, and the courtyard fills with the stench of burning ozone.
I think we just gotta repeat the attack.
As Raven's 10 spectral daggers scissor in from all angles, shredding its cable limbs and bursting nodes of stolen light, with a shriek of 100 fading. Rain patters on the dead cables as the last sparks fade, and Raven exhales shakily, nudging the collapsed construct with her boot, while Alexander notes the lingering pattern of its appearance. Realizing this attack confirms a direct connection between Jorin's rift tether and whoever is orchestrating the Silver Ash disappearances.
What is this thing called? Tarsus at full health potion.
Raven downs a health potion, colour returning to her face as the
That's
static
difficult.
burn in her chest eases, while Alexander kneels by the husk of the
almost
wired eidolon, carefully parting dead cables to reveal faintly etched versions of the same jagged circle and crown sigil Jorin described, burned like a maker's mark into a central node. Tracing its lines with a gloved fingertip, Alexander notes how the sigil is overlaid with runic shorthand, batch codes, calibration marks, proof that the Vanished weren't just taken, but processed, as Raven watches and quietly sketches the pattern into her notebook, jaw tight with horror and resolve.
Okay, Raven's got to do there. I just specifically said. I feel this is gonna. It's a good thing we have all of our health potions. I'm not sure if this is a good thing.
Raven tips back a full-strength healing draft, the last ache vanishing as warmth floods her limbs, while you both reach toward the inert wired husk, and the moment your fingers brush its cold, rune-scarred cables, a sharp, synchronized jolt snaps through you. The courtyard vanishing in a blinding flash as your senses yank sideways, hurled toward wherever this thing was tuned to report.
So continue. Don't really know what else to do with that. Of course, that looks a little confusing.
The world whips inside out in a single white-hot blink, and then you and Raven slam down on rough stone, courtyard rain replaced by thin, metallic air under a sky of slow-turning glass hexagons and distant, humming towers of wire and bone. The dead wired core lies between your hands, like a spent key, still faintly warm, as Raven pushes herself up, eyes wide. Alexander, she whispers, voice swallowed by the vast humming silence. I think we just stepped into their lab.
Yeah, that seems accurate to me. Yeah, we're gonna look around, and we're gonna have our daggers ready, because I think honestly we're probably gonna fight something here.
You and Raven rise in a slow, practiced pivot, moon sword and spectral daggers at the ready, eyes sweeping the immense chamber of glassy hexagon panels, hanging bone wire towers and distant vats where pale shapes drift, half-formed and unnervingly still. No figures move nearby. But overhead, a single hexagonal sigil ignites with cold light, the jagged circle and crown you've seen before, pulsing as though it has noticed your arrival and begun to decide what to do about you.
Okay. What? We should move. We definitely should move away from this thing. from the symbol, not for the symbol. From. It's like, read it.
You and Raven edge sideways beneath the humming sky, blades ready, putting a lattice of bone wire pillars between you and the glowing crown sigil overhead as its cold light intensifies, probing the chamber like a searching eye. For a breath, nothing moves. The half-woven creature hauls itself from the vat, wire bones, ash veins, and a porcelain mask slick with incubator fluid, resolving into a towering wired warden as it fixes you with a cobalt, unblinking stare, cables coiling like leashed serpents around its arms. It takes a single, testing step toward you, the air tightening with charged intent, and you can feel in the prickle of your skin that if you don't strike first, it absolutely will.
Well, really? That seemed pretty accurate. If it doesn't strike, if we're not going to strike first, it definitely will. Of course, that was obvious. That should have been pretty obvious. Hopefully that works. So we're going to go ahead and strike these things with the moon sword and the daggers. And let's do 20 daggers this time. I guess that works. She has 20 daggers. She's done 10 twice.
You and Raven surge forward in perfect tandem, your moon sword carving a silver arc into the wired warden's chest as 20 conjured daggers scythe in around it, shredding ash veins and wire joints in a storm of ringing steel and sputtering light. The warden barely flinches before lashing out, and a sudden bloom of cobalt radiance erupts from its core, wire tendrils of force smashing into Raven's ribs and shoulder, hurling her sideways with a cry as the air fills with the crackle of burning ozone.
Okay. Now the question is, I feel like we do crafted building, we gotta do force. So we gotta have a special ability. There's just this doesn't really work. Fluorescent eye? No, that really does not work. Okay, that does not work. Tactical probe? Do you think that's gonna work? Hallmark mind? These are all terrible abilities. Yeah, well, honestly, this makes sense. I don't anything. So we get clockwork mind. I think she levels up to. I would suspect that. Yeah. Alpha. But again, there's special things that I got force. Ability force and trace? Raven can rearrange that does not help. We are not in that kind of area. Ashround. Raven excels figures. Raven excels a thin of silver, clinging foes, anti-magical detect, do magic detective. That could be useful. Let's do what the other one is. Quick time. We're gonna go with Ashround. That I think we're gonna repeat. We're gonna repeat the team attack. We gotta repeat the attack in reverse order. I have a lot of health for level 2 creature. Attack order. Attack off. D. 39 damage. Just saying.
Strikes first time, hurling 20 flashing daggers. Winning Alexander's follow-up cleave as the sword reeling but not broken, the warden whips its wide tendrils in a savage backhand. A cobalt shockwave hammering Raven in the ribs and shoulder as she's flung hard across the humming floor, nerves burning with crackling pain.
What weapon is this guy using? He doesn't really have any weapons. Anyways, I'm thinking Raven, unfortunately. But it will. Not drink. Gotta put her back to full health. Alexander's probably good for now. I spelled Alexander's name wrong. I don't even know how that what that is. Understood though.
Alexander steps in without hesitation, the moon sword whistling up and down in a ruthless clean stroke that bites through the wired warden's core, splitting porcelain mask and cable-riddled chest in a single shattering blow, as the wired warden's ruined shell cools, a faint cobalt ember pulses once at its shattered core, then dies, leaving only scorched sigils and the echo of its last gaze fixed forever on you and Raven as the lab's oppressive silence falls back in around your breathing.
Only problem is that thing did not die. It's a skeleton. It was already dead. Anyways. Speaking of which, I need to mark down. I have marked down 2. there. And I think we're going to end the episode after that. Grant. That's just extra experience.
Alexander uncorks a full-strength healing draft and downs it in steady gulps, warmth flooding his limbs as torn muscles knit and his breath evens, while Raven pads in a slow circle around the cooling warden husk. Noting dark observation lenses winking to life high on the walls and a distant door of fused bone and steel irising open with a soft waiting hiss.
Okay, so we are going to end the episode there. So we're going to continue. We'll continue something after the next one, which will be episode number 3 of this. I thought maybe we would do this in 2, but we're going to definitely do this in 3. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Honestly, this is interesting. It's honestly kind of weird, but that's it for this episode. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to keep your game on, and I'll see you guys in the 3rd episode for this.